How to let go of worry and find peace. Introduction. Good evening. This lecture was created to help you let go of worry and allow yourself to rest. Tonight we will speak about something that touches every human being: anxiety. Together we will take a journey from science to philosophy, from stories to meditation, from worry to peace. We will be guided by two wise voices. Jon Kabat-Zinn, the scientist who gave the world the word mindfulness, the art of being here and now, and Dale Carnegie, the writer who helped millions of people stop worrying and start living in the present day. We will listen to their words, recall ancient wisdom, look at what science tells us, and in the end, perhaps you will feel that worry has stepped aside, leaving space for calm and for sleep. Part 1. Mindfulness and the present moment. Jon Kabat-Zinn once wrote, "Wherever you go, there you are." At first, it sounds like a simple play on words. But if you stop and think, there is an entire philosophy hidden inside. Our mind is like a restless bird, rarely still, always flying. It darts into the past, replaying mistakes, regrets, old stories. Then it shoots into the future, building scenarios of things that may never happen. And in this endless migration, it almost never lands here, in the present. But the present is the only thing we truly have. Yesterday is already closed. Tomorrow has not yet opened. This moment is the only bridge we can walk across time. Picture yourself by a quiet lake at sunset. The wind calms. The surface of the water becomes a mirror. If a stone falls, ripples spread. But soon the water becomes still again. Our mind is like this lake. It can reflect everything around us, but only when it is calm. Kabat-Zinn defined mindfulness as paying attention on purpose in the present moment and without judgment. It is not about fighting thoughts, not about forcing silence. It is simply about watching, letting thoughts come and go like clouds drifting across the sky. Pause. Ask yourself, when was the last time you were truly present? Not planning, not regretting, not worrying, simply being. Maybe it was this morning when you noticed the sun, or a moment when you listened to music and forgot everything else. Every such moment is real life. And the more of them we allow ourselves to notice, the quieter the heart becomes. Part 2. How to stop worrying. Living one day at a time. Dale Carnegie once shared the story of Dr. William Osler, a famous physician. Osler told his students, "Live in day-tight compartments. Let the iron doors close behind you on the past and shut out the future. Imagine a ship in the middle of the ocean. If all the compartments are open and the water rushes in, the ship will sink. But if every door is sealed, the ship can withstand the storm." We are like those ships. When we open the doors to the past and to the future, we drown in worry. But when we close them and live only in today, we stay afloat. Carnegie also wrote, "Remember, today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday." And isn't that true? How many of our fears never came to pass? How many sleepless nights have we wasted on shadows that never arrived? There is another image he used, the hourglass. In an hourglass, sand can pass only one grain at a time. No matter how much you shake it, no matter how much you want it, only one grain falls through. Our lives are the same. We cannot live yesterday and tomorrow and today all at once. We can only live this single moment. And if we try to live everything at once, we become buried in worry. But if we slow down, if we focus on the grain of sand that is falling right now, then anxiety begins to dissolve. Carnegie gave simple, practical advice. Don't waste your energy on if only and what if. Do what you can today. Accept what has already happened, and do not torture yourself with it. These rules may sound simple, but they are like anchors for the mind. They pull us back into the present, into today. And today is the only place where peace can truly live. Part 3. The scientific view on anxiety and sleep. Introduction. Up until now, we've listened to the wisdom of philosophers and storytellers. But there is another voice worth hearing, the voice of science. Science is not cold. It is poetry written in numbers and facts. Where philosophy tells us live in the present, science explains why this is good for the brain, the body, and the heart. So let us look deeper at anxiety and sleep through the lens of modern research. Sleep. The silent healer. Matthew Walker, in his book Why We Sleep, reminds us, sleep is not an optional luxury. It is a life support system. Think of your brain as a bustling city. During the day, cars race through the streets, deliveries pile up, lights flicker everywhere. At night, when you sleep, the city finally rests. Street cleaners wash the roads, traffic stops, the noise fades. That is what sleep does for the brain. It organizes memories, softens emotions, repairs the body, and resets the mind. Studies show that even a single night of deep restorative sleep can lower anxiety by nearly 50%. Not because problems disappear, but because the mind sees them more clearly, more calmly. The stages of sleep. Sleep is not one continuous state. It has architecture, like a building with different floors. Deep sleep. Slow wave sleep. This is when the body is repaired. Blood pressure falls, muscles recover, tissues heal. The heart rests. REM sleep, rapid eye movement. This is when we dream. Emotions are processed here. The brain replays the day's feelings and carefully weaves them into long-term memory. One scientist compared it this way. Deep sleep is like a mechanic fixing your car. REM sleep is like an artist repainting it and polishing the details. Without deep sleep, the body collapses. Without REM sleep, the mind suffers. Anxiety and the brain. Why does anxiety feel so heavy at night? Because when we are tired, the brain loses its balance. The amygdala, the alarm bell of the brain, becomes hyperactive. It was designed to warn us of lions in the grass. But today, the lion is an email, a bill, a memory. The prefrontal cortex, the wise leader that calms the alarm, becomes weaker when we are sleep deprived. It's like leaving the child alone with the alarm system. Of course, it goes off too often. This is why insomnia and anxiety walk hand in hand. Less sleep equals more worry. More worry equals less sleep. A vicious circle. The chemistry of calm. Inside us, invisible rivers of hormones shape every feeling. Cortisol, the stress hormone, high in the morning so we wake up. But if it stays high all day, anxiety builds. Good sleep lowers cortisol naturally. Melatonin, the sleep hormone, released when darkness falls. But screens, phones, TVs, laptops, trick the brain into thinking it's still daylight. Melatonin falls and sleep is delayed. Serotonin, a mood stabilizer. Balanced serotonin means emotional stability. Disrupted sleep means disrupted serotonin. Dopamine, the motivator. Too little, and we feel heavy. Too much, and we feel restless. Sleep restores its rhythm. Every night your body is a laboratory. Sleep is both the doctor and the medicine. Research examples. In one Berkeley study, participants were kept awake for just one night. The next day, brain scans showed their amygdala was 60% more active. They reacted with fear and worry to neutral images, as if every shadow was a threat. Another study followed medical residents working long shifts. The more nights without proper rest, the higher their anxiety and even depression scores became. Doctors healing others, yet being slowly broken by sleeplessness. Or think of drivers. Studies show that being awake for 20 hours straight impairs the brain as much as being legally drunk. Many nighttime accidents happen not because of speed, but because of tired, anxious, unfocused minds. Sleep and everyday life. Imagine a student preparing for an exam. He drinks coffee at midnight, studies until dawn, convinced that every extra hour of study will help. But his memory fails, his anxiety grows, and in the exam he collapses. Why? Because the brain never had time to store the knowledge. Or imagine a mother worrying about her child. She lies in bed, scrolling through her phone, trying to distract herself. The blue light kills her melatonin. Her body stays alert. Her mind races. Morning comes, but her strength is gone. Science tells us protecting sleep is protecting peace. Practical science for better sleep. Researchers suggest simple but powerful steps. Regularity. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Cool room 65 to 68 degrees, 18 to 20 degrees. A cooler body sleeps deeper. Light control. Darkness signals melatonin. Avoid screens an hour before bed. No stimulants. Limit caffeine, nicotine, alcohol in the evening. Pre-sleep ritual. Read, stretch gently, drink herbal tea, listen to soft music. One study in Japan showed that simply dimming lights 2 hours before bedtime reduced anxiety and improved sleep quality by 30%. Ancient echoes. Long before research, people already knew. The Greeks saw sleep as divine healing. In Buddhist monasteries, monks trained the mind to rest even while awake. In Islam, sleep was called the little brother of death, a daily surrender to God. In Christianity, prayers before bed were not just ritual, but mental peace before surrendering to sleep. Today, science proves what ancient wisdom whispered. Sleep is not just rest. It is the nightly bridge between worry and peace. Transition. So now we see, anxiety is not just an emotion. It is a physical state, a chemical storm, an imbalance in the brain. And sleep is the medicine written into our very biology. When we care for our nights, we heal our days. But science is only one side of the story. To complete the picture, let us listen to history and philosophy, to voices that have guided humanity through worry for thousands of years. Part 4. A historical view on worry and peace. Introduction. If science explains the chemistry of the brain, history tells us the story of human. For as long as people have walked the earth, they have faced the same invisible shadow, worry. Culture, every faith, every philosophy asked the same question. How do we quiet the restless mind? And though the answers were different in words, they were often the same in spirit. Greece, the philosophy of calm. In Greece, sleep itself was the god Hypnos. With wings on his shoulders, brought forgetfulness and rest with a gentle touch. His twin brother, Thanatos, death. To the Greeks, sleep was a nightly rehearsal for eternity, a small death that healed rather than frightened. Stoics were masters of mental peace. Epictetus, once a slave, taught, "Men are disturbed not by things but by the views they take of them." He showed that freedom begins in the mind, not in the body. Aurelius, the emperor philosopher, wrote in his meditations, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." He reminded himself daily that worry about the future is a thief of the present. Added, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." For the Stoics, peace was training, a discipline of the mind, like exercise for the body. East, harmony and letting go. In China, Lao Tzu wrote in the Tao Te Ching, "If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich." For the Taoists, anxiety came from trying to control the uncontrollable. Peace was the art of letting the river carry you instead of fighting its current. Went even deeper. The Buddha said, "Attachment is the root of suffering. When we cling to what we love or to what we fear losing, we invite worry into our hearts." In the Buddhist tradition was not escape, but training. It was learning to watch the mind like one watches the clouds drift across the sky. To see worry as temporary, not eternal. Zen story tells of a monk who carried a leaky bucket of water. When asked why, he said, "Each drop that falls is one worry leaving my heart." Such images taught students that letting go is the essence of peace. Sufi tradition, trust and joy. In the Middle East, Sufi mystics found peace not by escaping the world, but by dancing with the Persian poet, wrote, "Try to accept the changing seasons of your heart, even if you've never seen winter before. Don't worry, spring is on the way." For Rumi, worry was a misunderstanding, a belief that we are alone in the but. In truth, he said, we are always held by something greater. Sang, "Stay close to anything that makes you glad you are alive." His teaching was simple. Joy is medicine, laughter is prayer, trust is freedom. Sufis believed anxiety came from too much reliance on the self and too little reliance on the divine. To trust, to surrender, was to breathe again. The quiet of the heart. In Christianity, worry was often called a lack of himself, said in the Sermon on the Mount. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. The Apostle Paul wrote, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds." Monks in the deserts of Egypt practiced silence they believed that to quiet the tongue was to quiet the mind. Their evenings were spent in prayer, releasing the day into God's hands. Story tells of a monk who was asked, "Why do you pray every night if God already knows what you need?" He smiled and said, "Because I do not pray to tell God my worries. I pray to remind myself to let them go." Jewish wisdom: rest in safety. The Psalms of David speak often of rest. "I will lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety." For ancient Israelites, sleep was a sacred act of trust. To close one's eyes at night meant surrendering control, believing that the world would continue in God's care. Sabbath, too, was a form of release. One day every week, no work, no worry, no striving, just rest. In a way, the Sabbath was a training in peace, a reminder that worry can wait. The philosophy of the self. In India, the Upanishads described the self, Atman, as eternal and untouched by. They taught that worry belongs to the body and the mind, but not to the soul. It was more than exercise. It was the discipline of body and breath to calm the restless mind. The Bhagavad Gita says, "The self-controlled man is awake in that which is night to all other beings. Such a man finds peace." For Hindus, peace was not outside but inside. It was the discovery of the unshaken self. Japan. The Zen of stillness. In Japan, the Zen tradition turned peace into art. A rock garden, with its raked sand and carefully placed stones, was not just beauty, but meditation, a physical symbol of inner order. Zen masters told students, "Sitting quietly, doing nothing, spring comes, and the grass grows by itself." For them, worry was noise. Peace was silence. Conclusion. History shows us worry is as old as humanity. But in every culture, people sought peace. The Greeks taught reason and control of thought. The Stoics taught discipline of the mind. The Buddhists and Taoists taught letting go. The Sufis taught trust and joy. The Christians taught prayer and surrender. The Jews taught safety in rest. The Indians taught the eternal self. The Japanese taught stillness and simplicity. Different words, different rituals, yet one truth. Peace does not come from the outside. Peace is born within. Part 5. Philosophical Reflections and Inspiration. Introduction. If science shows us how the brain works, and history tells us how cultures sought peace, then philosophy speaks to the heart of the matter. What does it mean to live in harmony? Why do we worry? And how can we let go? Philosophy does not always give answers. Sometimes it simply points the way, like a lantern on a dark road. The Stoics, strength of the inner fortress. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." Carnegie echoed this thought centuries later. But Epictetus added, "A person can be free even in chains, if the mind is unshaken. Seneca warned, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Indeed, our fears often kill our peace long before reality touches us. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor philosopher, wrote in Meditations, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If you fill your mind with worry, life becomes worry. If you fill it with peace, life becomes peace. Eastern wisdom. Trust in the flow. Lao Tzu wrote, "He who knows contentment will always be at peace." For the Taoists, anxiety came from grasping too tightly, from fighting the river of life. Peace came from floating, not from forcing. Buddha taught, "Attachment is the root of suffering." Not that we must love nothing, but we must love with open hands. Peace is not in possession, but in the freedom to let go. Sufi poetry. Freedom as love. Rumi whispered across centuries, "Why do you stay in prison when the door is so wide open?" Worry, he said, is a prison of our own making, and freedom is already here, if we choose to step outside. Hafez sang, "Stay close to anything that makes you glad you are alive." Joy itself was a philosophy. Peace was not only surrender, but also celebration. Modern philosophy. Mindfulness. John Kabat-Zinn, Bridging East and West, offered this image. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. The waves are our worries. They will always come. Peace is not about stopping them. It is about riding them with balance, grace, and trust. Across time and cultures, philosophy keeps pointing us to the same truth. Don't chase what you cannot control. Release the weight of yesterday and tomorrow. Look at the world with trust, simplicity, and joy. Then anxiety is no longer a storm. It is only a shadow, one that fades when you light the lamp of presence. Part 6. Short Stories and Parables. Introduction. Worry is universal, but so is wisdom. From deserts to mountains, from ancient temples to quiet villages, stories were the way people remembered how to live. Each parable is like a small boat. It carries us across the river of restlessness to the shore of calm. So let us hear a few more. The Empty Boat, Taoist Story. A man was rowing his boat across a river when another boat crashed into him. Furious, he began shouting, until he realized the other boat was empty. His anger vanished. There was nobody to blame. The master explained, "When you treat people as empty boats, their words cannot hurt you. Worry is born from taking things too personally." The Farmer and His Horse, Chinese parable. A farmer's horse ran away. The neighbors cried, "How unlucky!" The farmer replied, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned with 2 wild horses. The neighbors shouted, "How lucky!" The farmer said, "Maybe." Later, the farmer's son fell from one of the wild horses and broke his leg. The neighbors mourned, "How unlucky!" The farmer again said, "Maybe." Soon, the army came to take young men to war. They left the injured son behind. What seemed misfortune became blessing. The story teaches, worry comes from judging too soon. Life is bigger than today. The Monk and the Scorpion. A monk saw a scorpion drowning in the river and reached out to save it. The scorpion stung him, but he saved it anyway. Why do you help when it hurts you? People ask. Because it is the scorpion's nature to sting, but it is my nature to save, the monk replied. Worry often comes from expecting others to act differently. Peace comes from staying true to your own nature. The Traveler and the Bridge. A man was afraid of crossing a long wooden bridge. He imagined it breaking, the water swallowing him. A traveler passed by and said, "Do you not see? The bridge has carried thousands before you. Why should it not carry you too?" Trust is the bridge between worry and peace. The Japanese tea garden. In Japan, a master invited his students to rake the garden perfectly. They worked for hours until the sand was flawless. The master then shook a tree, and a few leaves fell gently onto the sand. "Now it is perfect," he said. Perfection is not the absence of flaws, but harmony with them. Worry disappears when we accept that a few leaves will always fall. New story: The Sand and the Rock. A man held sand tightly in his fist. The tighter he squeezed, the more slipped away. Then he held a rock, and it stayed firmly. "Some things," said the teacher, "must be held lightly. Grip them too hard, and they escape." Worry is the squeezing of sand. New story: The old man and the storm villagers feared a storm coming from the sea. They ran, hid, and shouted in fear. An old man simply sat on his porch, watching the sky. "Why do you not worry?" they asked. "Because my worrying will not stop the storm. But my calm may stop fear from destroying me before the storm even arrives." The glass of water, modern parable. A professor held up a glass of water and asked his students, "How heavy is this glass?" They gave different answers. He said, "It does not matter. The longer I hold it, the heavier it feels. If I hold it for a minute, it's fine. For an hour, my arm aches. For a day, I collapse. This is how worry works. Put it down before it breaks you." A whisper from Tolstoy. Leo Tolstoy once wrote, "Remember then, there is only one time that is important. Now. It is the most important time because it is the only time we have any power. Worry belongs to the past or the future. Power belongs only to now." New story: The Man and the Lantern. A man walked through the night carrying a lantern. Someone asked, "Why carry light if you already know the path?" He answered, "The light is not for me, but for those who walk with me." Sometimes peace is not for ourselves alone, but for those we touch. When we stay calm, others worry less. A whisper from Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore, the poet of India, wrote, "Faith is the bird that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark." Faith, not worry, teaches us to sing in the night. Conclusion: Parables, myths, poems, they all carry one lesson. Do not grip too tightly. Do not judge too quickly. Do not fear what is beyond your control. Do not carry the glass too long. Every culture whispers the same truth in its own way. Peace is not something we chase. Peace is something we remember. Part 7. Practical Visualizations. Introduction. Philosophy gives us wisdom. Science gives us knowledge. But sometimes what we need most is simply to close our eyes And visualization is like a gentle dream you guide yourself into while awake. It is a doorway to calm. We will step into two inner worlds. A place where we can set down our worries, and a place where we can rest in peace. 1. The chest of worries. Close your picture yourself in a quiet room. In the corner stands a large wooden chest. It is old, solid with heavy iron hinges and a deep lid. Imagine you are carrying a heavy bag. Inside this bag are all your worries, thoughts of the future, regrets of the past, fears that weigh on your shoulders. Its weight. Feel how it pulls you down, but you don't need to carry it anymore. Toward the chest. Slowly lift the lid. Hear the creak of the hinges. Gently place the bag inside. Watch it disappear into the darkness. Close the lid. And notice how light your body feels without the burden. Chest will stay in this room. Your worries will stay locked inside. You are free. 2. The Garden of Peace. Now imagine walking along a small ahead of you is a garden. But not just any garden. It is yours. A secret place that belongs only to you. Inside. See the trees in bloom, their leaves whispering softly in the breeze. Hear the songs of birds, gentle and playful. Smell the flowers, fresh and sweet in the air. Barefoot on the soft grass. Feel the cool earth beneath your feet. With each step, a little more worry melts away. With each breath, more calm enters your body. The center of the garden is a bench. Sit down. Look around. The sky above you. The air around you. The silence within you. Garden is always here. You can return whenever you need. Here, there are no worries. Here, there is only peace. Is a gift you carry inside you. When worry becomes heavy, you can place it in the chest. When you need calm, you can walk again into your garden. Are always waiting within you. Part 8. Conclusion. Tonight we've taken a long journey. We've listened to philosophers and poets. We've looked at science and history. We've told stories. And we've walked through inner gardens. In every part of that journey, the message was the same. Worry is not your enemy. It is only a signal. A signal that you are holding too tightly to yesterday. Or reaching too far into tomorrow is found only here in this moment. Not in the past, not in the future, but in the stillness of now. As this day ends, allow yourself to let go. Trust this night. Trust the silence. And may your sleep be soft as the breath of the earth, and deep as the dark sky above the ocean. 9. Breathing practices and meditation, 20 minutes. This final part is for those who want to end the night not just with words, but with gentle, we will do 3 things. Box breathing, the 4-7-8 breath. A meditation called the Sea of Calm. 1. Box breathing. Close your picture, a square in your mind. Each side of the square is a count of 4. For 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Exhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Repeat the cycle. Trace the square in your imagination as you breathe. This method is used by soldiers and athletes alike. It brings steadiness, balance, and calm. 2. The 4-7-8 breath. Now try another rhythm. Inhale through the nose for 4 counts. Hold your breath for 7 counts. Exhale slowly through the mouth for 8 counts. Do this 4 times. This breath is like a lullaby for your heart. It slows everything down. It invites sleep. 3. Meditation. The sea of calm. Close your eyes once more. Imagine you are sitting on the shore of a vast, gentle sea. The waves come in with your inhale. The waves go out with your exhale. Each breath is a tide. Each tide carries away worry and brings in peace. Feel the sand beneath you, warm and grounding. Hear the endless hush of water. Above you is the open sky, wide and calm. Stay here for a while. Let the sea breathe with you. And know, peace has always been within you. Now the lecture is complete. We've listened to wisdom, to science, to stories. We've practiced breathing and entered calm places in our imagination. And now the only step left is to rest. Close your eyes, let go, and sleep. Good night.